My name is Lin Hao. I am 30 years old and live in the most inconspicuous corner of this city. I rented an old apartment of less than 50 square meters. I took the grounds to check in at the company every day, and passed the average life. My job is to do data analysis at a medium-sized securities company. To put it bluntly, I just call it a small screw, tapping on the computer screen, typing the forms, sorting out reports all day long. I was occasionally sent by my boss 2 sentences, and then I lowered my head and recognized it, and continued to bury my head and make a hard work. My colleagues all think I am old and even a little rude and have no sense of existence, but I like this situation very much because it means no one will look at me more or no one will dig me out. This city is one or two financial centers in the country, with high-rise buildings and bright lights. There are people wearing leather clothes on the streets. They are in a hurry and are bored with either stocks or funds or a big company is going public again. The air here smells of money, but to me, these have nothing to do with me. I just want to live peacefully, hold my meager salary, occasionally have some wine with my friends, and then continue to be a transparent person. However, the more you want to hide from some things, the more it will come to you. That day was a Wednesday that was too common. I arrived at the company early as usual, soaked a cup of instant coffee, sat on the station and opened my computer, and prepared to start the day's moving bricks. Our department group suddenly exploded, and a colleague flooded the screen. He said that there was a big news last night that a listed company reported fraud in financial affairs, and its stock price plummeted, and the entire board fell sharply. The market is full of porridge, investors are clamoring, and there are rumors that there are big men behind this, ready to take advantage of the situation. Lin Hao, have you heard it? This is a big deal. I guess the customer will have to blow up the phone today. Shaoli, who was sitting next to me, looked excited, with the light of gossip in his eyes. He is a well-known news expert in the department and can always know some inside stories at the first time. I looked down at the screen and replied, "Well, I heard it, it's quite a bit. It's not just a matter of trouble, it's just a collapse. I heard that a mysterious account built a bank all night last night and forced several related stocks to pull up. Although it was not completely stable, it at least did not let the market collapse directly. You said how awesome this person is. If you dare to take action at this time, you are just a god." Shaoli became more and more excited as he spoke, and his saliva was almost sprayed. I pointed my fingers and knocked the keyboard for half a beat slower, but there was still no expression on my face, just said lightly, "Maybe it is an organization, so the public can't have such power." Institution? Impossible. This operation is too precise. The entry time, the amount of funds, and the pull-up rhythm are perfect as the teaching in science books. I tell you, this is definitely the one who is talking about. Shaoli whispered quietly and mysteriously, "Stock God, have you heard it?" My heart skipped a beat, but I still had no interest in dressing on the surface. I opened a report at all and said without raising my head, "Stock God? Isn't it just an urban saying? Who believes it? Hey, you don't understand. This is not a story, it's true. The market collapsed a few years ago, and the market was almost over. As a result, an anonymous account suddenly killed, and forced the index back to save countless casuals. Since then, this stock god has become a myth in the financial circle. Although no one knows who he is, as long as the market is in a silence, some people will guess whether he will take action." Shaoli said with a brow dancing, as if he had seen it with his eyes. I didn't answer, but just lowered my head and continued to knock on the keyboard, and my heart was filled with waves. The name stock god may be a remote saying to others, but for me, it is a label that is unfamiliar. Because that person is me. Yes, I am the so-called stock god. A few years ago, I did something, saved the market, and made a lot of money, but after that collapse, I made a fatal mistake, which hurt many people, and also made myself bear a lot of debts and bad names. Since then, I chose to retreat, throw away all my fame and fortune, change my identity, and grow up with such an ordinary and extremely mediocre life. I thought that as long as I didn't touch the stock market, I could hide in the dark forever, but last night, I couldn't hold it back. Last night, when I saw the company's stock price plunge and the entire board collapsed, I knew that if I didn't do anything, the consequences would be very serious. It's not that I feel so righteous, but that I know too well what this collapse will bring. Countless funds are spent, and how many families have lost their money overnight. I sat in front of the old notebook at home, and hesitated for half an hour, and finally logged into the anonymous account that had been blocked for many years, used only the remaining funds to try to keep a stable situation. The result was just like Shaoli said. I couldn't completely save it, but at least it didn't let the market collapse. But I didn't expect that this move would attract attention so quickly. I thought I was hiding deeply and operating carefully, but obviously, there is no shortage of wolf with sniffing spirit in this circle. Lin Hao, what are you doing? Why are you stupid? Shaoli's voice pulled me back to reality. Only then did I realize that I had been staring at the screen for a few minutes. It's nothing, I'm just distracted. I smiled, clicked a few mouse tags, and put them in a busy manner. Shaoli wanted to say something, and his phone suddenly came to an end. He picked up a few words and his face became severe. What? Customers need to meet in advance. Okay, I'll prepare the information right away. After hanging the phone, he packed up his things and muttered, for this mess, I guess I have to work overtime until midnight again. I looked at his busy back, and my heart couldn't calm down. Although the operation last night was urgent, I know that this is just the beginning. The financial market has never been a charity organization. Whether you save people or harm people, someone will always look at you, try to dig out you in a picture, and then squeeze your last drop of value dry. Sure enough, in the afternoon, the company's atmosphere became even more intense. Customer phones one after another, and leaders quarreled in the conference room, saying that it was because of the market's turmoil, and some people suspected that there were insider trading, and even involved some big names. My colleagues in the department were nervous, afraid that they would be involved. I sat in the workstation, and on the surface I was still not concerned about myself, but I had already started to calculate what I would like to do next. I know that the account's operations last night were not absolutely secure in this world, although they were through multiple encryption and proxying. As long as someone wants to check, you can always find a spider horse. What I want the least is to be dug up my true identity. After get off work, I didn't go home directly, but went to an inconspicuous website in the city center. This place is so broken that the machine is so stuck that it makes people crazy, but because of this, no one here will notice who you are, and no one will remember what you did. I put on my hat, walked in with my head down, found a corner location, and logged into a secret chat software. Old John, did you see what happened last night? I quickly typed a line of words and sent it to my old friend Zhang Yifan. He is an IT genius and the only person who knows my true identity. I was able to retreat so far that year, and it was all because of him who helped me build a network trading system that was almost impossible to track. A reply quickly popped up on the screen. I saw it, you can't help it, right? I knew you couldn't hide it, so sooner or later you have to take action. Stop talking, I have no way to move. Please check if the operation last night left any tail. I knocked my fingers quickly, and my heart was a little unsteady. Don't worry, I've done your system by hand. Unless there is a national hacker team on the other side, you won't be able to poach you at all. But Zhang Yifan's temperament suddenly became serious. I heard that there are big fish behind the market behind the scenes. You probably have been targeted by someone after you take action. You'd better have low coordinate points and don't come back. I looked at the screen and my eyebrows were snaking. Although Zhang Yifan is not speaking properly at ordinary times, what he said has never been wrong. If there is really a big fish behind my back, then I may have really stabbed the horse bee when I take action this time. I understand, I'll be careful. You can also help me keep an eye on it. Tell me the first time if you have any swearing. I replied, then quickly closed the chat window, cleared all records, got up and left the network. Walking on the way home, the night was already deep, the street lights were dim, and occasionally several cars were calling by. I lowered my head, and my brain was full of the words Zhang Yifan said, I'm being targeted. I thought I was hiding well, but in this circle, there is no shortage of people with sensation and sensation. If someone really starts to investigate me, then the ordinary life I have worked hard to do in these few years may be coming to an end. At this moment, the phone suddenly shook. I picked it up and saw that it was a text message from a strange number. "Mr. Lin, about the operation of the market last night, I think we need to talk." When I looked at this text message, my heart seemed to be pulled hard by something. I have never seen this number, but the other party's temperament gave me a bad feeling. I hesitated for a few seconds, but still didn't go back. I stuffed my phone back into my pocket and accelerated my pace to walk home. Back at the apartment, I sat on the sofa, staring at the screen of my phone. The text message was like a constant blow, making my heart unable to calm down. I know that this may just be the beginning, and there will be more troubles to come. The next morning, I went to the company as usual, but I always felt uneasy. Sure enough, before noon, the department manager called me into the office. He looked at me seriously and said that a customer named me and asked me if I knew something big shot. "Lin Hao, always tell me, do you know some insider? Why are someone looking for you to talk about the market movement last night?" The manager's speech was full of suspicion, staring at me with his eyes fixed on me, as if he wanted to see something from my face. I felt nervous, but I still looked confused on my face and said, "Manager, I am just an ordinary employee. How can I know a big shot? Maybe I'm wrong." The manager looked at me for a long time and didn't say anything else, just let me go out. When I walked out of the office, my back was already soaked in cold sweat. I know that this matter is not that simple, and the person I was looking for was definitely not a casual question. During my lunch break, I hid in the cafe under the company building and prepared to call Zhang Yifan to ask about the situation. As soon as he took out his cell phone, he heard someone beside him screaming, "Lin Hao." I looked up and saw a woman standing in front of me, wearing a professional dress that was so handsome that she looked pretty and had a sense of agility in her eyes. She walked towards me with a smile, holding a cup of coffee in her hand, and said lightly, "What a coincidence, I am Su Wanning, a reporter of financial news. I heard that you had a unique opinion on the market movement last night. Can you talk about it?" I looked into her sharp eyes, and I had a momentary warning in my heart. This woman is not good. I sat in the corner of the cafe, looking at the woman who was called Su Wanning in front of me, and my heart seemed to be blocked by something, and I couldn't speak. She smiled naturally, holding the cup of coffee in her hand, as if she was chatting casually, but her eyes seemed to be able to see through people directly. I lowered my head and took a sip of coffee, dressed in a very casual manner. My brain was flying, trying to figure out who she was and come to fuck me. "Mr. Lin, don't be nervous. I just want to talk to you about the market movements last night." Su Wanning saw that I didn't say anything, she simply spoke by myself. Her language was still so relaxed, but there was a taste of a trial. "I heard that you are from a securities company, so you should have some of your own opinions on the market, right?" My heart skipped a beat, but there was still no expression on my face. I just said lightly, "Miss Su, I am just an ordinary employee and I am responsible for sorting out data. Is there any unique opinion? Are you looking for a wrong person?" She smiled and did not answer me, but took out a business card from her bag and pushed it to me. "This is my business card. I am a reporter of financial reports, specializing in the major events in the market. Last night's incident was quite big. I heard a mysterious account to stabilize the situation. Many people are wondering if this was the resurrection of the stock god in the news. Have you heard any internal news?" When I heard the word stock god, my fingers held the cup unconsciously, but I still put it in a so-called way, and said with a head, "Miss Su, isn't this kind of thing about the stock god just a message? I am a young employee, but I don't know these things. If you want to dig out news, you should go to those big guys to talk to. I really can't help you." Su Wanning looked at me with a flash of disappointment in her eyes, but she didn't give up and continued to smile and said, "Mr. Lin, you're so stupid. I heard that the operation method last night was very similar to when the stock god saved the market a few years ago, and it was amazing. You have been in a securities company for so long, so you should have a little impression of this operation, right? Or, Who do you know can provide a trace? Her words were like a pinch, making my heart bleed. I know that she didn't ask casually, but she had already set her sights on something and might even be suspicious of me. I took a deep breath and made my language sound calm. Miss Su, I really don't know what you are talking about. I just knock on the form on my computer every day, so I don't have time to pay attention to these words. Sorry, I still have to go back to work and leave first. After saying that, I stood up and prepared to leave. Su Wanning didn't bother me, but just smiled and pointed it out, saying, "It's okay, Mr. Lin, if you think of anything in the future, you can contact me at any time." I'm very interested in this topic, especially the real identity of the stock god. I didn't answer, and walked out of the cafe with my head down, and my heart felt like a big stone was pressing down. This Su Wanning is definitely not an ordinary reporter. Her problem is too negative, as if she had already locked me up. I took out my cell phone and quickly sent Zhang Yifan a message. A reporter who called Su Wanning came to me. I asked about the stock god and helped me check her background. After a few minutes, Zhang Yifan replied, "Su Wanning? The ace reporter of Financial Time, specializing in digging out the financial circle's fierce news, especially from the stock god. She has a lot of resources and her background is not simple. Be careful not to let her catch the handle." Seeing this news, my eyebrows became tighter. This woman is indeed not easy to deal with. If she really makes me look at me, she might be able to find something. I know that next I have to be more careful not to expose any horses. When I returned to the company, I was still doing my head job as usual, but I was always thinking about the countermeasures. The appearance of Su Wanning made me realize that last night's operation may have caused quite a stir, and maybe more people are eyeing me. What makes me even more uneasy is that the customer who named me to see me mentioned by the manager in the morning has not yet appeared. Who is behind this? After get off work, I didn't go home directly, but went to the website yesterday. After entering, I found a more remote corner, logged into the secret chat software, and directly contacted Zhang Yifan. "Old Zhang, the situation is a bit wrong. Su Wanning is too difficult, and there is also an unknown customer who wants to see me with a name. Please check me, is there any big shots who have been checking the account's operations recently?" Zhang Yifan replied quickly, "I said long ago that you were too risky this time." I checked. Although there was no direct evidence for the operation last night, there was a voice in the market, saying that the stock god might have come back. Especially on the side of Jing Tianzi. He said that he had already spoken out and wanted to dig out this person and kill the other party in the end. You know, this guy is a tough guy in the financial circle. He has been dealing with insider trading and market manipulation, and he has done everything. If he targets you, it will be a big trouble. When I heard the name Jing Tianzi, my heart sank. I am so familiar with this person. I heard his name a few years ago when I was in the circle. On the surface, he is a financial tycoon with endless vigor. In fact, he relies on various means of unsightly to save money and is cruel and ruthless. Whoever takes his way, he will kill him. If he really started to check me, then my low-key life for these few years might really be at its peak. "Old Zhang, do you have any way to help me drain the water more so that they can't find me?" I quickly typed this sentence, and my mind was already calculating the worst plans. Zhang Yifan replied, "I can try it, get a few fake accounts, create fake lines, and distract them from their attention. But this can only delay time and cure the problem but not the root cause. You'd better not take action recently, otherwise no matter how much I help you, I can't stop it." I looked at the screen, gritted my teeth, and replied, "I understand, I will be low-key. You can help me get these fake ropes first, and how long it takes to drag it." Closed the chat window, I leaned against the chair, closed my eyes, and felt like a numbness in my heart. Jing Tianzi, Su Wanning, and that mysterious customer, these people emerged one by one, as if they had agreed to force me to the end. I know that the only thing I can do now is to hide myself as much as possible and not let anyone catch the handle. In the next few days, the atmosphere in the company became increasingly intense. The subsequent impact of the market is still fermenting, and customers are as anxious as a hot pot, urging us to explain it every day. The manager's face became more and more difficult to see day by day, and colleagues in the department began to suspect each other, and no one wanted to be involved. On the surface, I was still the same old man as a friend, doing my own thing with my head down, but I was always on guard against the tranquility around me. Su Wanning has not appeared again in the past few days, but I know that she must have not given up. Sure enough, at noon on the third day, I received an anonymous email, with only one sentence in it: "Mr. Lin, I have more traces about the stock god." At 8 o'clock in the evening, I see the Blue Moon Coffee in Chengdong. The signature is SWN, and you don't need to guess it is Su Wanning. I watched the mail, and hesitated for a long time, and finally decided to go there. It's not that I was curious about what thread she had, but that I wanted to figure out how much she knew, so that I could figure out what to do. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I arrived at Blue Moon Coffee at about the time. This place is quite sideways, and there are not many people in the store. Under the dim light, Su Wanning was already sitting by the window, holding a cup of red tea in her hand. When she saw me coming in, she smiled at me and signaled me to sit down. "Mr. Lin, thank you for coming." She was very polite, but there was still a sensitive light in her eyes. "I know you may not be willing to talk about this topic, but I really need your help. I have been chasing the stock god's news for several years. Last night's operation made me sure that he had come back. You are in a securities company, should you be able to find a trace, right?" I lowered my head and put on my face to put it on my face helplessly. "Miss Su," I said last time. "I really don't know these things. I'm just an ordinary employee, so I don't have the ability to dig out such big news for you. You should find someone else." Su Wanning heard me, was silent for a while, then took out a document from her bag and pushed it to me. "Mr. Lin, I didn't look for you at will. This is some information I have collected over the years, including the operation records of the stock god's rescue of the market a few years ago, and some transaction data from the account last night. Although I have not found a confirmation, I think you may know this person better than you said yourself." I lowered my head and looked at the document, and was amazed. Although her data is incomplete, some of them are already very close to the truth. If she digs further, she might really touch my side. I forced the decoration, pushed back the document, and said, "Miss Su, are you suspicious of me? I really don't have that ability and don't want to deal with these things. Sorry, I have to leave." After saying that, I stood up and prepared to leave. Su Wanning didn't swear to me this time, just looked at my back and said lightly, "Mr. Lin, I don't force you, but I believe that the identity of the stock god will be exposed soon. If you have anything to say, you can find me anytime." I didn't turn around and walked out of the cafe quickly, and my heart was filled with shock waves. Su Wanning is too obsessed with her information, and I feel threatened. If she continues to investigate, she may really find out my true identity. I know I have to think of a way to let her turn her attention to something else. When I got home, I immediately contacted Zhang Yifan and told him about Su Wanning, asking him if he could create false leads to lead her in another direction. After listening to it, Zhang Yifan was silent for a while, and then said, "I can try it and get a fake account so that she thinks it is the operation of the stock god. But you have to be careful about this. Su Wanning is not stupid, and it is not that easy to cheat her. No matter how difficult it is, it has to be tried." I gritted my teeth. She has dug too close, and I can't let her get one more step. In the next few days, Zhang Yifan created a fake account according to the plan, simulated some operations similar to the stock god, and then deliberately left a few traces so that Su Wanning could discover. Sure enough, it took no time for her to bite her feet and start chasing the fake account. I was almost relieved here. But I know, it's just temporary. Su Wanning would have discovered that it was a cover, and the side of Jing Tianzi was not calm. According to Zhang Yifan's news, Jing Tianzi has hired a professional team to try to crack the real IP of the anonymous account. Although Zhang Yifan's system is hard, no matter how hard the system is, it cannot withstand the other party's attack at any cost. At the same time, the situation in the company is getting worse and worse. The customer who wanted to see me finally showed up, but it turned out that it was not someone else, but a confidant under Jing Tianzi. When he saw me, he was trying to find out what I thought about the market movement, and even mentioned the name Stock God. I didn't know anything on the surface, but I knew in my heart that this guy was definitely here to step on. Mr. Lin, General Zheng is very interested in you. He thinks you may have some special talents. The man smiled, his eyes as cold as a knife. If you have any ideas, you can contact us directly. General Zheng is very willing to cooperate with capable people. I lowered my head and smiled, saying, "Thank you for your love, but I am just a young employee and I don't have much ability, so I'm afraid I won't be able to help you." He didn't say anything more, just left a business card and left. But I know that this is just the beginning. Since Jing Tianzi has locked me, he will not let go easily. That night, I sat at home, staring at the business card and was stunned, and my heart was in a mess. Su Wanning's investigation, Jing Tianzi's threat, and the increasingly tight atmosphere in the company. These things are like a network, making me more and more tighter. I know that if I don't take any action to counterattack, I'd be forced into the end. Old Zhang, help me prepare a new account, I want to take the initiative to attack. I sent Zhang Yifan this news and decided not to be defended. Are you crazy? Now it's a low-key moment, what do you want to fuck? Zhang Yifan replied quickly, his language full of worry. I'm not crazy, I just don't want to sit and wait. I gritted my teeth, Jing Tianzi wants to mess with me, so I'll mess with him first. I want him to know that the stock god is not that easy to mess with. Zhang Yifan was silent for a while, and finally replied, "Okay, I'll help you. But you have to answer me. After this operation, you must retreat in a complete way and you can't take risks." I looked at the screen and clicked the head. Although I knew that this operation might change everything. But I don't have any choice, and I have to pay a price in order to protect myself. That night, I sat on the broken sand at home, holding my phone in my hand, and the screen was still stuck at Zhang Yifan's reply, "Okay, I'll help you. But you have to answer me. After this operation, I must retreat and not take risks anymore." The night outside the window was as thick as ink, and occasionally there were a few slight sounds of cars that broke the silence, and my heart seemed to be burning, which made me restless. Jing Tianzi's threat, Su Wanning's investigation, and the atmosphere in the company that may collapse at any time, these things made me breathless. I know that if I don't take the initiative to attack, I really have no way out. I took a deep breath, got up and walked to the desk, opened the old notebook computer, and the blue light on the screen made my face turn white. The sound of the finger tapping the keyboard was particularly clear in the empty room. I logged into the new account that Zhang Yifan had just prepared for me. This account was as clean as a white paper, without any historical records, and all operational paths were processed by him. Even a top-level hacker would have to work hard to find something. I looked at the empty trading interface on the screen, and my heart was both tight and indescribable. This time, I was not trying to save who, nor was it for some bullshit sense of justice, I just wanted to protect myself and trample on those who wanted to kill me. Old Zhang, have the account done? Are there any loopholes? I quickly typed a line of words on the chat software to confirm the final details. Don't worry, it's so clean that it can't be cleaner. As long as you don't show off your own expenses, no one can find you. Zhang Yifan replied quickly, and his temperament was still a little worried. But I have to remind you that Jing Tianzi is not a small character. There are so many resources behind him. If you really annoy him this time, the consequences may not be that you can withstand. I know, but I don't have to choose. I gritted my teeth and replied, then closed the chat window and focused all my attention on the screen. Jing Tianzi has made a lot of bad money through insider trading and manipulation in the market these years. Although his company is unlimited on the surface, it is full of money behind it. As long as he finds the right entry point, he can collapse overnight. And as the once stock god, what I do best is to find the deadliest line in the chaos in the market. In the next few hours, I almost didn't leave my computer, staring at the market data and news movements, dancing on the keyboard, analyzing the stock price trends of several core companies under Jing Tianzi. These companies look as stable as Mount Tai on the surface, but in fact they have been hollowed out by him. As long as there is a little bit of a storm, investors' confidence will collapse, and the stock price will collapse like domino. My plan is very simple. I first use this new account model to build a new account to create fluctuations to attract market attention, and then use some fake news to directly smash several of his main stocks, so that he can't react. At 3 o'clock in the morning, when the market trading volume was the lowest, I started to move. With a finger click the mouse mark, several small transactions were completed quickly, and the amount of funds was not large, but the time card was extremely accurate. Suddenly, I pushed a hand at several key points, and a stock under Xingtianzi instantly showed a subtle fluctuation. I know that this kind of small action will not cause trouble immediately, but it is like a stone thrown into the calm lake, and the ripples will slowly spread. Next, I contacted Zhang Yifan, allowing him to anonymously release insider news on some financial forums and social media, saying that Xingtianzi's company has financial problems and may involve major illegal operations. The news is half true and half false, enough to make public investors and small and medium-sized institutions begin to doubt. The market orders begin to increase slightly, and the pressure on stock prices is gradually emerging. I sat in front of the computer, watching the data curve go down a little, and I feel no relaxation in my heart. This is just the first step, the real tough battle is still behind. When it was just dawn, Zhang Yifan posted a message, "You are so cruel that you have started to discuss online. I guess you will receive a voice soon. Are you ready to be right?" "It's ready." I replied, leaned on the back of the chair, closed my eyes and sank. My brain was full of the next plan. I know that Xingtianzi is not a fool. He will definitely fight back and may even use the resources in his hands to check me directly. But what I guess is that he can't react. After the market is over, what I fear most is that confidence collapses. Once the scattered starts to panic, he will not be able to save him no matter how much money he has. Sure enough, when the market opened in the morning, the stock prices of several companies under Xingtianzi began to accelerate their declines, and online discussions became more and more popular, and some mainstream media began to repost the inside news. I was sitting at the company's workstation, still typing on the phone on the surface, but I was actually browsing the market data on the phone screen. Looking at the curved line sank down like a cliff, I felt an indescribable pleasure in my heart. My colleagues were also discussing the fight, saying that Xingtianzi might be about to fall into trouble this time, and some people even guessed whether there was a big shot behind him. "Lin Hao, have you heard it? Xingtianzi seems to be really over this time, and his stock price is falling like a dog." Shaoli came over and went to gossip with me excitedly. I was not interested in dressing it up, so I looked down at the computer and said, "Is that so bad? It's not just a matter of urgency, it's just a waste of money." I heard that he had begun to urgently adjust funds to save the market, but the market did not buy money at all, and the number of orders was as large as an avalanche. "Do you think this would be done by that stock god again?" Shaoli became more and more excited, and his eyes were shining. I felt a tight heart, but there was still no expression on my face, and I just said lightly, "Stock god? Isn't it just a saying? Who knows the truth or false?" Shaoli wanted to say something, and his phone suddenly hit. He picked up a few words, his face became severe, and then hurried to the manager's office. I looked at his back and started to count the next step in my heart. Xingtianzi will not sit and wait, he will definitely fight back, and I must ensure that I will not be bitten by him. During the lunch break, I received a message from Zhang Yifan. Xingtianzi started to counterattack. He used the funds in his hand to try to draw a plate, and hired a water soldier to clean up the internet, saying that the news was fake. "You have to speed up, otherwise it would be a waste of time if he really calmed down." "I understand, I'll give it another push tonight," I replied, then lowered my head and continued to eat, and my brain was already planning tonight's operation. Tonight is the key. I have to use the biggest fund to smash the market directly, so that his stock price will collapse to the bottom and there will be no chance of rebounding. When I got home at night, I didn't waste any time, so I opened my computer and logged into that new account. Market data shows that Xingtianzi's rescue operation has indeed played a role, and the stock price decline has stabilized, but overall confidence has not recovered. I sneered, and quickly tapped the keyboard with my fingers, using all the funds in the account, and began to sell his main stocks on a large scale. The orders entered the market like a flood, and the stock price fell almost vertically, and continued to touch in several limit downs. The panic in the market was instantly ignited, and the crowds were terrified to sell later, and the situation was out of control. My heart beat like a drumming as I looked at the nearly vertical curve on the screen. This blow should be able to cause Xing Tianzi's energy to be severely damaged, and even force him to the point of destruction. But I don't have time to celebrate because I know that next he will go to the price and I must clean up all the traces before that. Old Zhang, help me clear all the operation records of this account, and then sell all related data. I quickly sent a message to Zhang Yifan, full of eagerness. Received, I'll deal with it immediately. Be careful yourself. Xing Tianzi is old this time and will definitely not be able to rest. Zhang Yifan replied quickly, and then he was no longer static. I knew he was busy dealing with it. In the next few days, the market was getting bigger and bigger. Xing Tianzi's company collapsed almost entirely. The media began to report his financial problems on a large scale, and even said that the supervisory department had intervened in the investigation. His name has changed from the legend of the financial circle to the rat on the street that everyone shouts and beats. On the surface, I was still that inconspicuous young worker. I clocked in on time every day and hit the tables with my head down, as if I had nothing to do with everything. But I know, this is not finished. Although Xing Tianzi was recreated, his resources and human resources are still there, so he will not easily recognize them. Sure enough, after a few days, Zhang Yifan posted a message. Xing Tianzi spoke in the 4 places, saying that he was trying to dig out who was messing with him behind his back, and hired a top hacker team to try to crack the account's path. Although I have cleaned the data, you still have to be careful not to expose your horse. As I looked at the news, my heart sank. I know that the most terrifying thing about a person like Xing Tianzi is not his money, but his ruthlessness. He is now like a wounded wilderness, and he will bite any possible goal at all costs. And I must ensure that I am not discovered by him. At the same time, Su Wanning did not stop. Although she was distracted by the fake account, she soon realized that it was a cover and turned her eyes back to me. At noon that day, I finished eating under the company building and saw her standing on the road, smiling and walking towards me. Mr. Lin, what a coincidence, I met again. Her temperament was still so relaxed, but there was no less profit in her eyes. I recently looked up something and found that the so-called stock god may be lower than I thought, and may even be hidden beside us. Do you have any ideas? I felt nervous, but I still looked confused on my face and said, Miss Su, I said it last time. I really don't know these things. If you want to dig out news, you should find someone else. She smiled and did not answer me, but took out a photo from her bag and put it in front of me. It was a vague monitoring screenshot. The person on it was wearing a hat and lowered his head, and couldn't see his face clearly, but the background was the website I often went to. My heart thrust suddenly, but I still put on a strong decent look and said, What is this? What does it have to do with me? Mr. Lin, don't be nervous, I just ask at will. Su Wanning put away the photo and said with a smile, I just think that the identity of the stock god may be more ordinary than we think, and may even be someone who is around us every day. If you have any traces, you can tell me anytime, and I guarantee to protect your privacy. I didn't answer, and walked away quickly with my head down, and my heart felt like a big stone was pressing down. Su Wanning is so smart that her suspicion is getting closer and closer to the truth. If she continues to dig, she may be able to find a confirmation. I know what I have to do and turn her attention away. That night, I contacted Zhang Yifan again, allowing him to help me create a larger false line, pointing to a boss who had a history with Xing Tianzi, making Su Wanning think that was the true body of the stock god. Although Zhang Yifan was reluctant, he still agreed and said that he would make arrangements as soon as possible. A few days later, Su Wanning indeed bit the fake rope and began to track down the boss. I felt relieved. But I know that this kind of procrastination is just a temporary time. Whether she or Xing Tianzi, she will come back soon. And I can no longer live as lowly as before. Although Jingtian's collapse made me feel bad, it also completely broke my peaceful life for the past few years. The atmosphere in the company became more and more dissimilar, and the eyes of colleagues looking at me became strange, as if they heard something. The manager even asked me to talk to you once, asking if I knew something big shot, and everyone was trying it out. I know that if the paper cannot contain the fire, my identity may be exposed soon. That night, I sat at home, staring at the night outside the window, and my heart was as numb as I could. The phone suddenly hit me. I picked it up and saw that it was a message from Su Wanning. "Mr. Lin, I know the truth. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'll see Blue Moon Coffee. I have something to tell you." Looking at this news, my heart felt like something was being pulled hard. I know she might have really dug something, and I have to face it all. The next night, I arrived at Blue Moon Coffee at a time. Su Wanning was already sitting by the window, holding a cup of red tea in her hand. When she saw me coming in, she smiled at me and signaled me to sit down. "Mr. Lin, thank you for coming." Her temperament was calm, but there was a complex in her eyes that could not be described. I looked it up for a long time and finally decided on something. "The stock god, either someone else, or you, right?" I looked at her, silent for a few seconds, then lowered my head and smiled, saying, "Miss Su, you really can joke. I am just an ordinary employee, so I don't have that ability." She didn't answer me, but took out a document from her bag and pushed it to me. "This is all the information I collected. Although there is no direct verification, all the traces point to you. Mr. Lin, I'm not here to force you, I just want to hear you say, what are you hiding in the past few years?" I looked down at the document, and my heart was filled with slight scent. I know that at this point, it's no longer meaningful. So I looked up at her and said lightly, "Su Wanning, you won." "That's right, I'm the one you're looking for. But I hope this will end here." Her eyes lit up, as if she had finally solved the topic for many years, but then it became softer. "Lin Hao, I would not write this into news or tell anyone. I just want to know why you want to hide yourself. You obviously have the ability to change many things." I smiled bitterly and said, "Because I have made mistakes and hurt people, I chose to back down. I don't want anyone to be hurt by me, including you." Su Wanning was silent. After a while, she said lightly, "I understand. Thank you for telling me the truth. I will not investigate this matter again from now on." I clicked the head, stood up, and prepared to leave. I didn't look back, just smiled and walked out of the cafe. The night wind blew on my face, which was a bit cool, but there was a slight slightness in my heart that I couldn't say. Su Wanning knew the truth, but she chose silence, which gave me a little more confidence in the future. When I got home, I sat on the sofa, my brain was full of things from these years. Although Jingtianza was defeated, there is no shortage of new bigwigs in the financial circle, and my identity will be suspected by more people long ago. But this time, I was no longer afraid. Maybe, I should face my past bravely, as Su Wanning said, rather than hiding in the dark forever. The phone suddenly shook, and I picked it up and saw that it was a message from Zhang Yifan. "Lao Lin, the matter of Jingtianza has basically subsided, but there is a new voice in the market, saying that the stock god may be officially reopened. What are you going to do?" I looked at the news, smiled, and replied, "Let's take a look first, maybe it's really that day." The night outside the window was still so deep, but there was a little more light in my heart. The road ahead is still very long, but no matter what, I will continue.